Live from an ESG data-scented LED candle.
There it is.
It's the ESG industry's only weekly woke data podcast featuring analyst Hall Matt Moscardi back from his suspension. We suspended you.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's the story.
That's sad for me.
In today's jet-lagged ESG blackout curtains called October 11th, 2023, CEOs name and shame college students, and the Qantas board chair gives up his hissy fit.
What?
Yeah, that and a bunch of other random ESG headlines for you.
It's a Woke Data Wednesday.
Yeah, Woke Data Wednesday. Matt, our show today is being sponsored by S-Gage, your ESG data solutions provider.
That's what I heard. Yeah, S-Gage.
Paul's in New York, so I don't think we hear from Paul today. No, Paul.
No, he couldn't make it to the studio. But can I just say, S-Gage they're the only ones who are here for us. There's nobody else.
You might be right.
It's just us and them now.
Didn't we have a listener say that they liked something once? About something?
That sounds spurious.
Let's say yes to that. Do you have anything to say, or do you want to just get at it?
Look, I've been in Japan for a week.
Yeah, you sound like it, and you look like it.
And I was up at 2:30 in the morning this morning and couldn't go back to bed. So it's going to be like that for a while. So just prepare yourself for lack of insight.
I would say visiting colleges with a teenage daughter is a bit the same as jet lag from going to Japan. No?
Not even close.
All right, let's get to it. Come on.
Try flying 15 hours with a 6-year-old.
No, I don't need to do that. Come on, let's do it. Come on.
All right, let's do this thing. What do we even do here? I don't even know how this works. I don't know where I am.
Play me any kind of transition, anything.
You got rid of all the music. You deleted my music. It's not on the thing anymore. You deleted everything because you didn't like it, and now it's gone. So I don't have anything to do.
What I didn't know is that wouldn't reappear, because usually when you delete things, this is something that nobody in the audience cares about. Well, pick something, and we'll worry about it later. No,
I'm not picking any. I'm going to put it in post, and you're just going to have to do this thing with no music.
Good. Because I hate your transition music anyway. Good. All right, here we go. In no particular order, let's start with the depressing. This is probably the primary reason why I just feel depressed in general, being alive on our great planet. But I was hopefully going to avoid this story in its entirety, but then I got dragged in by Bill Ackman, of all people.
Come on. You let Bill Ackman drag you into anything.
We're not typically a show about politics or war or geopolitics but here we go. Here's the first headline. Here are the CEOs and investors who want Harvard to release the names of students blaming Israel for the Hamas attacks so that they can avoid hiring them.
Wow.
I mean, look, again, I don't want to go deep in the rabbit hole of this whole situation, but for billionaire Bill Ackman, this is his focus of anger right now, are students at Harvard protesting. And let's be clear, there are students at thousands of universities probably protesting both sides right now, but he's just sort of oddly fixated.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But isn't the conservative argument that inside of companies and places like these colleges that they're not allowed a voice? And literally what now the same people are saying is, because you said a thing we don't agree with, we want to know who you are so we can never hire you. Isn't that exactly what they're asking for?
Look, it's not different. No. I mean,
what are we talking about here? You don't have to agree with them. First of all, when you're 19, do you have an informed sort of opinion about really anything?
No, you're trying to. You're at school to create that, right? You're learning both sides. You're trying to figure it out.
And I'm not saying I have an informed opinion at 44 about this. Right?
Honestly,
I don't actually know.
If you trace the history of this going back to at least 1948 and probably beyond, if you have a perfectly informed opinion on this, you are lying, because this is an extreme. No, really, because this is an always has been extremely complicated story. So
I mean,
I'm thrilled for Bill Ackman that he's got it completely figured out.
Yeah, like we've binaried it into this is right and that is wrong, and everybody else.
Because in war there's always like a right and wrong. Right, it's that simple. But
I can say on a moral level, and without going down the rabbit hole, like the Hamas attacks are atrocious and terrible, right? Like we can agree that the way that but to have an opinion about the political situation at all would be totally disingenuous. I don't know.
Especially if you're the guy famous for short selling Herbalife. Like, I really this is part of how he became a billionaire is just like spending tens of millions of dollars trying to deride a company and convince. I'm just saying, like, the whole thing is nuts to me.
He's a billionaire because he's really good at PowerPoint. That's
fine. Great.
That's why he's
good for you, Bill Ackman. Good. And you should be proud of yourselves for attacking these students at Harvard. Fancily enough, I was at Harvard Saturday, so maybe that's why he's mad too, because I was there.
Where all the attacks are unfolding on the students at Harvard, though? It's all on Twitter. Everything is on Twitter.
Okay, that's my next point. That's my next point. So here's some of the people, Matt, that joined. It's not a lot of people so far that joined Bill Ackman's crusade to not hire kids at Harvard who were protesting in the wrong direction. One of them is Jonathan Newman, CEO of Sweet Green.
Blah, blah,
I'm kind of surprised by that one. Michael Brookham, CEO of Fab Fit Fun. I don't know. These are just like a bunch of people I've never heard of. David Duell, CEO of Easy Health. Here's the point, Matt, and you already mentioned it. They are all having this conversation on Twitter, on X, on Elon Musk's platform, where he just a few weeks ago just blamed the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, for essentially destroying his business. Blamed that group. And also, in the second story I was covering from the BBC, the entire European Union is warning Elon Musk about disinformation that is spreading on X after the attacks. So so Matt, I am just completely and forever befuddled by everything. Not to mention, before we get into it, and I don't want to make the rabbit hole even more confusing, but the ADL announced over the past few days that they are now advertising once again on X. They are.
Come on!
Right? So I'm confused completely by everything. Yeah.
Why does anyone need to advertise there? Who are you advertising to?
I don't know.
Like consider who's your demographic?
Find somewhere
right?
else.
Is it white bros who like screaming and dunking on one another? Generally anti-Semitic, generally hate-filled. Like
there are three cohorts. There are three cohorts on X. There are those people, the horrible white supremacists. There are really nerdy journalists, and there are probably some athletes. That's about it. Yeah. Who else uses that stupid platform anymore?
No, there are no regular people on that platform. So who are you advertising to?
I don't get any of this. Really,
finally LeBron James saw your advertisement, ADL. Good job. Or Apple.
I honestly wish, I know Bill Ackman, I know you're probably listening right now. I really wish you would weigh in on this. Like you're against the Harvard students that are protesting, but you are willing to hold this conversation on one of the most known anti-Semites in modern day culture, Elon Musk. So I really honestly like weigh in on all this.
I just love having it both ways, which is you want to say it on a platform that says it's about free speech absolutism and you can say whatever you want, right? Absolutism. Say whatever you want, as long as it's not against Elon Musk, because then he bans your account. But say whatever else you want. But then you go to college where you're supposed to say whatever you want as you're forming your opinions, and you say something and it may be informed, may not be informed, it doesn't really matter, but you want the list of people who said that so you can never hire them again because they're horrible human beings.
I guess
come on.
I guess the difference, Matt, is
blowhards.
I guess the difference is that Bill Ackman got his degree from Harvard like 30 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Blah, blah,
I guess that's the difference.
Name somebody who's a CEO who didn't.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, correct. Let's move on.
Walgreens. We talked a lot about Walgreens. We were wondering who the next CEO would be. They finally named their new CEO. It is a boring guy named Tim Wentworth, who, if you squint, looks a little bit like a younger Stefano Pessina, who was the real controller of Walgreens.
But wait, there's a lot happening at Walgreens that suggests, is this our first male Glasscliff?
Well, okay, here's the good question, because here's what also is happening today. Walgreens pharmacy staffers are staging walkouts. It's not system-wide. It's not at all locations, and it's not a union-backed effort. These are not unionized workers, but at least a good handful of Walgreens locations, at least 300 that we know about, staffers are walking out because they're pissed off. They're pissed off about being understaffed, especially during the COVID rollout. So, to your point, Matt, is Tim Wentworth in precisely to make sure that Walgreens does not unionize? Does he have an worker anti-union background, or you're right? Is he just coming in to helm a disaster? Is he like a male Glasscliff? I mean, is there such a thing as a male Glasscliff?
Well, that's what I want to. That's really what I want to know. I want to know: is there such a thing? Like, can you have that? Because like dudes who come in to clean up for other dudes usually keep their jobs longer. They don't apologize for stuff. Like Vanessa Hudson, who's been apologizing for 6 months for everything Qantas has ever done. Tim Wentworth, is he going to come out and apologize for everything Walgreens has ever done in the past? Probably not.
We know men don't apologize.
So it's not really a Glasscliff, but I wonder what this is, because he's not going to have any power. We know by the influence numbers, freeflowanalytics.com, the influence numbers will suggest and continue to suggest that Pessina has all the power. Yes. So what does that mean? What is he?
Not to mention that
placeholder.
Pessina's wife is also the COO at Walgreens. So
correct.
Pessina has an incredible amount of power there at Walgreens. Yeah. So that's what's going on at Walgreens. You ready to jump ship to Australia?
Yeah, I love Australia. Yeah, let's do it. I was just on that side.
Just making sure you're still awake.
I'm not.
So
not at all.
Another story we've been covering. Yeah, another story we've been covering, and I just made a prediction about this, and it came true a lot more quickly than I thought. Although, is it really coming true? The Qantas chair that we've been making fun of for weeks, Richard Goyder, the one guy who decides that he doesn't need to quit after the everything going wrong at Qantas Airlines over there in Australia, which you alluded to, the new CEO, Vanessa Hudson. She's very much in a Glasscliff snare. She's already apologizing for everything that's ever happened at Qantas, despite the fact that she was not in charge when it was happening. Richard Goyder announcing that he will, after he told everyone to go F themselves, he will be stepping down the role from chair. I'm guessing that shareholders applied enough pressure. The weird thing is that he claims, although I think this is another lie from Richard Goyder, he claims he will not be stepping down until the 2024 AGM, which happens in late 2024. Yeah. On top of that, Matt, and this is what interesting from our perspective, on top of that, two other very influential directors will be stepping down. This is a little earlier. This will be at Qantas's half-year results in 2024. That's Jacqueline Hay and Maxine Brenner. So I did the math, Matt. I did the math. According to our data, and this is data that you can only get here if you really want to understand who really controls these boards, including CEO Alan Joyce, who already stepped down prematurely. With these two women stepping down, both have been there for about 10 years, and the chair, Richard Goyder, according to our data, that means that 82% of the total board influence at Qantas will be stepping down effectively. Wow. They are giving up. They are starting over.
So that's
82% from those four people. So I guess good for them for actually recognizing who is at fault here, right? And telling them to leave.
Well, we did think that Jacqueline Hay might be the next chair,
because she has
the tenure and the experience she's had, and the influence that she has.
Clearly being blamed.
But I'm glad they're just sweeping everybody out and starting over. Although it does leave like one other woman on the board at this point, right? Like we're basically like there's nobody left. Who's going to be left?
There will be a new woman appointed in November, and I'm sure they'll be adding some new members soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? You know why I think this change happened? Because shareholders were listening to us and saying, like, we got to do, like, this is ridiculous. We got to do it.
And my last point on this, because I probably won't cover Qantas for a while, I hope, is that in listening to the tapes, Richard Goyder, the chair who is now stepping down, he said, we again apologize. And I was listening to Vanessa Hudson.
No.
Vanessa Hudson said, I am sorry. So she actually used the right pronoun. Yeah. So I'm just putting it out there. All right. Moving on. From the New York Times today, DealBook says that they got an exclusive look at PricewaterhouseCoopers' annual survey of board directors for 2023. So, Matt,
exclusive look?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, right?
Like, I mean, like they do it every year.
Like other than nerds like us, who is waiting for this? Who's really who needs to get on this early? Like, what are we talking about here?
They really scooped the New York Post this time.
Yeah, they're probably a sponsor of DealBook, but this is some of the main points. I'll let you react to these. The survey found that 54% of directors said that their corporate strategy was linked to ESG concerns, down from 64% last year. Does that matter to you? 64 to 54?
I mean, aren't both a joke, right? Did they even know what ESG concerns are? They just,
That's a good question.
It's just an acronym.
How about this one? Just 73% of male directors believe gender diversity is an important attribute on their board, down from 90% in 2016. By that surprise you?
No, aren't we just telling the truth now? It wasn't 90% then.
Yeah,
it was.
Good question. By contrast,
isn't it more like 12%? We're waiting for it to get down to the real number.
By contrast, all the female directors continue to think that gender diversity is important.
Oh, that's shocking.
100%. I like that
shocking
one.
to me.
Wait,
finally, can I go back to the ESG one for a second?
Go ahead.
Like S is, if we say S is employees and G is all of governance, why would they not be? They must not know what the E, the S, and the G are if they think it doesn't matter. Like, isn't this strictly their job? Governance. That's all. That's what they do. They govern.
This is a knee-jerk reaction to the anti-ESG movement, right? They're afraid, and they're doing it. Maybe they're pulling a Larry Fink, and they just won't say the acronym anymore, like Voldemort, right? They're just not saying it.
But even if they're afraid, okay, they went from 64 to 54%. So not even 2/3 of board members could get up for knowing what the acronym was before anyone cared what the acronym was. Like, what is this? This is all make believe. This is a lovely fiction. Anyway, go back to what's the last takeaway.
And finally, I like this one. Fewer directors think executives are overpaid. Now 50% of board members think that executives are overpaid, compared to 70% in 2017.
Meanwhile, pay is higher now than it's ever been. So that's great.
All right. That's the takeaway from the exciting new PricewaterhouseCoopers annual survey.
Wow, I can't
of board
believe
directors.
they got that scoop. I can't believe they got it.
I was just shocked that I read the Deal book every day. I was just shocked that they even mentioned this kind of stuff. This is like straight on nerdy woke Wednesday, woke data stuff. Like, this is our territory.
They also talked about the anti-ESG stuff in Oklahoma going on, right?
Stuff that we covered like 4 months ago. So come on.
Which means my guess is that they're doing look, ESG doesn't matter on boards anymore, and anti-woke. It's probably a continuing narrative.
ExxonMobil will acquire Pioneer Natural Resources for $60 billion, the largest deal since an estimated $80 billion merger between Exxon and Mobil in the late 90s. So ExxonMobil looking to expand its gas production in Texas.
That's
$60 billion deal. I
will tell you one thing.
Yeah, tell me.
It's definitely not they're not buying it for the women. Because I looked at the Pioneer is a publicly traded company. 31% of the board is female, with 22% of the influence. And then when you look at the
22, 22% of the board?
20
For
of the influence.
2023, that is exceedingly low. Yeah.
That 31% of the board is female. So that's
The influence
that's
at 22%. Got it.
Influence is 22%. They just have no influence. And then 3 of the 16 leadership positions are women, which is a staggering insignificant amount. Can you guess the roles of the women at leadership at Pioneer that Exxon is?
They will either be head of human resources.
Yep.
They will either be chief legal officer.
Oh, close, but not
or
that.
Head of marketing.
That's one. Yeah. The last
That's
one
about
was
it.
operations.
Okay, well, I don't know what that is. Is that COO? Well, what is that?
No, it's not COO. Let's not get carried away.
It's a step too far.
That's the woman who does the IT tech support help, like
operations. Yeah, that's like
operations.
office manager, right?
Yeah,
ordering
it's basically
the paper.
a glorified office manager is what they
Which
make
is,
it sound like.
Good job. Okay.
So Exxon, congratulations on your purchase. You definitely didn't purchase it for the diverse talent.
No. Back to Harvard. Harvard professor Claudia Goldin was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics for her research on women at work, specifically the gender pay gap. Goldin analyzed over 200 years of data from U.S. labor, and her research busted some myths about the gender pay gap and women's participation in the labor force. So, historically, Goldin found that the differences in education and occupational choices could explain this gender gap in earnings, but more recently, she found that the bulk of the current earnings difference is between men and women in the same occupation.
Yeah.
Therefore, education and occupational choice cannot be totally to blame. In fact, her research suggests that the earnings difference can be blamed at least partially on motherhood.
Oh,
That's simple, Matt. It's that simple. You don't become a mother and you earn less money. It's that easy.
So I actually looked at the bios of 100,000 directors in our database.
Oh, God.
1,100 of them, exactly 1,100 of them, mentioned children or kids or some phrase implying that they had children.
Really? I'm even surprised it's that high. Yeah.
So it's 1% of the 100,000 directors that I looked at. Of the 1,100 who mentioned kids,
had to be mostly women. Had to be.
66% were men.
Oh, wow.
For men, children are a selling point.
Oh, wow. I would have thought otherwise. I wonder what industries that occurred in. I wonder if it's like certain countries or certain industries. Do we have that data?
So this is global. I didn't break it up, but this is a global data set. And what shocked me about it was basically the way that children get mentioned by men is like effectively these are family men, right? Like, and that is a selling point for them being leaders. Women get paid less when they have those children so that men can sell themselves as family men.
They're going to hide that pregnancy as long as they can. And let's be real. I'm guessing most of these men come from Norway where they're just kind of, it's coded text to say, hey, look, I'm going to be on a 1-year paternity leave. So don't bother me. That's why they put that in the bio. Don't call me. Don't text me. Yeah.
On paternity leave,
leave me alone.
You have plenty of time to join the one phone call a month that you have for your board meeting.
I wouldn't know. I never got that. I never got any kind of leave. Yeah. All right. Speaking of family members, Birkenstock in the news of all things, a $9 billion IPO has been announced.
Wow.
I think its shares go on sale today. Birkenstock. Now, Birkenstock is backed by LVMH, which is the Louis Vuitton, Moet, blah, blah, blah. It's the world's largest luxury goods. Yeah, it's the Arnault family out of France. The company was run by the actual Birkenstock family for 6 generations until a majority stake was sold to L. Catterton, the PE group backed by the Arnault family. And why do I mention that? Because I dug into the IPO filing data. The board is chaired by J. Michael Chu, and Matt, he owns 83% of the shares over there at Birkenstock.
Wow.
He is the global co-CEO and co-founder of L. Catterton. L. Catterton. Yeah, so that's the PE group backed by
who's the
Arnault
other
family.
CEO who doesn't matter at all? Whose
I'm
name
ashamed
doesn't
to say
matter?
I don't know. I'm ashamed to say I don't know.
Isn't it Reichert or something? Isn't it the other guy? I think it's Oliver Reichert is the other CEO.
Okay, because I know Nicole Tukral, who is a managing partner at L. Catterton, is also on the board of Birkenstock.
Well, so what it looks like they did was this is basically L. Catterton, the Arnault family, and the largest shareholder who all sit on the board. It's one conglomerate. It's one group. They own. They're going to own. We haven't run the influence numbers, but it's going to be 90% plus in just the Arnault Catterton.
And where will we put that influence out of curiosity? Because on the Birkenstock board is the J. Michael Chu, who, according to the proxy, owns 83% of shares. But also on that same board, Matt, which you pointed out, is the Birkenstock CEO Oliver Reichert, who you said also comes from L. Catterton.
No, he's not from Catterton. I think he's the
not.
Birkenstock CEO. So that's why
he's the Birkenstock CEO.
So here's what I think what's gonna happen.
But also, before you say that, also there's an Arnault family member on the Birkenstock board. So will the influence go with Arnault there, or will it go with J. Michael Chu?
So that's the interesting part.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna. So Chu. The reason why Chu owns 83% of the shares is he doesn't. I don't think he owns them himself. I actually think because Catterton
Through
is the
L.
majority
Catterton.
stakeholder, he is the executive officer at Catterton. And co-founder of Catterton, I think. So he actually is controlling it only through Catterton. But the Arnault family is Catterton, right? Like they're the money behind Catterton.
Exactly.
So like I think the influence numbers are going to get fooled here. They're going to say Chu owns the majority of the influence. But if we're honest, it's just the Arnault family. This is not like all of the influence is the Arnault family who has A, all the money, B, like they fund the company that actually is the majority stakeholder. I think it's just you're buying the Arnauts. That's all you're doing. You're buying the Arnauts.
How about this tidbit? The Birkenstock brand gained renewed widespread attention recently after Barbie, in the movie Barbie, she wore pink Birkenstocks, right? So I guess that led to a major resurgence in the brand, and I'm sure
People are so simple.
Yeah, I'm sure it overinflated the price of this IPO. So how about this? How about this side note to Barbie, the feminist movie Barbie making Birkenstocks famous again, is that the management over there at Birkenstock, led by CEO Oliver Reichert, includes 8 other dudes, no women. I don't remember the last time I saw a company of this nature in this size with 9 men in management, no women.
Can I also say I looked through the S1 myself, and that something like 70% of their clients are women. They estimate 70% of their customers are women.
Yeah. So women, all our fans of Barbie out there listening, don't get fooled by it. Don't get fooled by Barbie.
Doesn't
don't get
this
fooled.
feel? This is like we're repeating Victoria's Secret. Isn't this the same like repeat? We've got
and what happened to Victoria's Secret? Eventually, it crashed and burned. No.
Right. That's well. I mean, that wasn't there like some sort of Me Too like
there was
stuff
everything
going
bad.
on?
Everything
it
bad.
was really everything bad that could happen happened over there.
And the share price went from from the moon to the valley. Yeah.
What is the deal with a bunch of men selling stuff to women
Honestly,
and
Matt,
thinking they know?
Wouldn't at least one of those dudes be uncomfortable and be like, shouldn't we get just like one woman in here to at least give her opinion? Just like, I mean, I really would be uncomfortable at that point.
Like, and I don't mean like as a focus group. I mean, can we just have one woman who has some power? Is there any that we can find?
I really am amazed. I'm amazed. Congratulations. And this is from France, which which has mandates in place for making sure that 40% of the board is women. So I'm shocked by this. Oh, this is not a French company though. I know that.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
This is the big joke that's on everybody else, right? If you look at the board constituency, and every ESG provider is going to pick, the governance provider is going to pick this up. You have 4 men and 3 women. They actually have nearly parity on this board of male and female. But when you know that the men are the guy who controls 83% of the stake and the family that owns the rest of it, and the co-CEO of the company who has no power in and of himself, but just sides with them, Ruth Wilson, Ann Pitcher, and Nisha Kumar, do they sit there and think to themselves we're highly qualified and no one's going to listen to us.
Hey, look, but it's free pink Birkenstocks for life, no doubt.
I guess.
This is
how
why
many
I don't
of those
understand.
do we need?
This is why I don't comprehend why there's any pushback against our data, because you're right, because what the modern day board does is it masks the fact that it's really not giving women a voice, but because the culture has caught up to putting women on the board, but only our data exposes the fact that these women don't have power, and I don't get why there's any pushback against using our data, really, honestly, because you cannot take those numbers at face value. They're bullshit. They're
total bullshit.
And this is a perfect example.
Not to mention when those 3 women sit in the boardroom with the basically majority shareholding men. They call in the management team to present to them about their stuff, and it's 8 dudes who come and tell them what's happening.
Be fair, it's 9 dudes. Be fair.
Now all of a sudden you are literally saying okay, well, the 4 guys who are on the board who own all the power are sitting in front of it's 9 dudes, but one of them is the CEO, right? So it's actually 8 other dudes. So now we're talking about
other dudes,
12 men.
Yeah.
12 dudes and 3 women. What exactly are they going out on a limb to, to say? Are they going to dissent? Are they going to be like, this is a really bad idea? Is anybody going to listen to them?
And Arnault family, you pick a 31-year-old male Arnault member to sit on the board. I mean, you at least could have given the board a woman.
It's like a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
And one last thing, I know a lot of people probably they roll their eyes saying we already know that these women don't have power. We get it. We understand how the mechanics work at these boards. But again, we're the only data provider out there that has quantified this, right? It's not just on an anecdotal level. We have quantified their lack of voice. Okay, so stop pushing back and buy the data. Come on, stop it.
This is the second or third story today where we effectively have a fake male CEO, right?
Yes, yeah. Walgreens.
We need a name for this because it's this is we know when women come in, it's like a janitorial role. We call it the glass cliff, but it's generally because they're cleaning up the boys' mess. Is this basically the male sidecar? Is this basically we're going to pay some dude to go tell the employees and stuff? We don't have to deal with employees and stuff. We just want them to go do all that stuff, but they're going to get paid handsomely, but we own all the influence and power anyway. What is that? The sidecar? Are they a sidecar? What is that? We need a name for it. So if you're a listener,
ESG
and
sidecar.
I know there's one of you out there, hit us, come back to us, hit us on LinkedIn, do a post,
involved.
do at free
In fact,
float.
jump on the show if you want, really. If you really have a lot of opinions, come on the show. We'll have you on the show.
And tell us what we should name the thing that is a male version, but not a glass cliff, but a sidecar CEO. What is it?
And finally, Nelson Peltz back in the news, Matt. His Trian Fund Management is going after Disney again.
Oh,
they
blah, blah, blah.
increased his stake to roughly 30 million shares. Remember, he started a proxy contest with Disney earlier in the year, but then decided to drop it. This time, now the rumors have it that he's going after 2 board seats this time. I don't have it.
Blah, blah,
I don't have any information about who he wants on the board. But Nelson, I know you're listening. If you want to figure out how to create those board vacancies the right way on Disney, reach out to us. We'll show you which directors you should replace based on their probably their lack of influence.
Let me give you a free tip, Nelson.
Go ahead.
Because you've tried this already.
Just one. Just give him one tip, because really he should hire
free
us.
tip.
Yeah.
The person you should add to the board should not be your son, who you added to the Wendy's board and was like between the two of you, like
don't piss him off.
Your performance
Don't
metrics
piss him
were
off.
not great. You're not great.
Well, I do know one of the people he wants on the board is himself. Is that okay?
No, stop with that. Just put somebody else on the board who actually understands the business of Disney.
I'm sure we'll.
That's when the activists like thing crosses from like this like self-aggrandizing narcissism. Like it goes from we're about shareholder value and maximizing shareholder value into pure narcissism. Like put me on the board and I have
an idea.
You're not Jesus. Let somebody who understands the business be on the board, please.
What about this groundbreaking ESG idea I'm about to tell the audience?
Hold on. I want to see. I wish I had some music.
Hurry up, because I'm going to forget what my idea is. Yeah,
do it because I can't find any music.
This is. We already have Bob Iger on the board, right?
Yeah.
What if we created another board vacancy, right? And let former CEO Bob Iger take that board seat, so that Bob has 2 votes on the board, because Bob has a lot of institutional knowledge, so we can come on as an independent director and as a CEO.
You know, it would be
2 different board seats, 2 different votes.
What if Nelson Peltz nominates Bob Chapek for one of the board seats?
Okay, now you're just being stupid. Now you're just being silly. So now you just ruined all our credibility.
That's all it took. We had credibility.
Stop.
That's Damian Rose. I am an analyst hole, Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float. This show is brought to you by S-Gage, your ESG data solutions provider. Also sponsored by freeflowanalytics.com. Go there, when we talk about influence, it's all there, including the methodology, how we come up with it. There is nothing in the dark about these companies anymore. We can show you the light and who runs them. So go there and check that out. Until Friday, when I'm back in office and hopefully less jet lagged. That's it.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Goodbye.